Hello and a warm welcome to GeoPulse Insights. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Join us as we navigate through the global climate crisis, providing you with the latest updates and insights. In a world increasingly shaped by the forces of nature, climate change is not just an environmental issue, it's a human crisis. As extreme weather events like floods, droughts, and heat waves become more frequent, they strike the hardest at the heart of our most vulnerable communities in South Asia. These events paint a grim picture of a world where climate extremes and human suffering are intertwined. Join us as we delve into the stories of those on the front lines of this battle, where survival is daily struggle and the stakes have never been higher. Hang around till the end of this video and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Climate change worsens vulnerabilities, deepens inequalities, and can exacerbate factors that can contribute to tensions. The direct consequences of extreme weather events like floods, droughts, and heat waves affects the already disadvantaged rural communities such as farmers, fishermen, and slum residents. The indirect repercussions of climate change on livelihoods, food security, public health, and displacement, particularly among marginalized groups like women, children, and ethnic minorities. Massive floods have recently impacted millions in India, Nepal, and Bangladesh, where torrential rains have caused flash floods and landslides, with several rivers overflowing and major dams at risk. May 2024 was the warmest May ever recorded, and that global average temperatures have now broken records for 12 consecutive months. The devastating floods in South Asia following a period of intense heat wave are yet another reminder of a failure to ensure a collective human rights consistent climate action. Human caused climate change has made extreme climate events much more likely, aggravating the continuum of extreme heat and flooding that we have witnessed with increasing frequency in recent years. In Nepal, reports suggest that about 91 people have been killed in the past 4 weeks due to heavy rains and landslides. In Bangladesh, flooding have caused 8 deaths while displacing tens of thousands of people, with some 40,000 people taking refuge at government shelters. In Pakistan, hundreds have been evacuated in the northern regions due to flooding from melting glaciers, while other parts reel under intense heat. The climate crisis poses a significant challenge to Pakistan, worsening the existing vulnerabilities and disproportionately affecting marginalized groups. In Afghanistan last October, three earthquakes of 6.3 magnitude struck the western Afghan province of Herat, followed by numerous aftershocks. About 1,400 people were killed, over 2,000 were injured, and many homes were flattened, and more than 110,000 people were recorded as needing humanitarian assistance. In New Delhi, the capital of India, recorded highest ever temperatures this summer. Extreme heat in New Delhi has claimed over 100 lives in the past 3 months, with the homeless and disadvantaged being the hardest hit. Hospitals report numerous stroke cases, highlighting the severe impact of climate change on vulnerable populations. The 2024 floods in Assam have been devastating, affecting millions and causing significant loss of life and property. Since the onset of the monsoon season in May, relentless rains have led to severe flooding across the state. As of early July, the death toll has reached 79, with over 2.4 million people impacted. The floods have displaced tens of thousands, forcing them to seek refuge in temporary shelters. With 2,580 villages still underwater, the crisis is the compound effect of climate change, inadequate infrastructure, and administrative problems. Limited access to clean water impacts household income and also contributing to health challenges, with waterborne diseases posing a significant risk. The recent floods in India, Nepal, and Bangladesh, along with the devastating earthquakes in Afghanistan, paint a grim picture of a world where climate extremes and human suffering are intertwined. Recent floods in South Asia underline the imminent harm to come from continued global heating unless serious and meaningful action is taken. It is now more essential than ever that the finance required to prevent greater heating and to allow communities to adapt to the realities of climate change is significantly scaled up. Failing to act will only increase the costs both to human rights and to economies. The large economic disparities in the South Asia region have only magnified the sufferings of the most vulnerable and marginalized communities, with a large death toll and displacement figure year on year. These communities contributed almost nothing to greenhouse gas emissions, yet they are paying for government inaction on climate with their livelihoods and all too often their lives. There can be no solution without a roadmap for climate justice. People in low income countries are worst affected by this crisis and have the least means to deal with it. The global average temperature for the last 12 months from June 2023 to May 2024 is the highest on record at 1.63 degrees centigrade above the 1815 AD to 1900 AD average. Even if countries were to implement the greenhouse gas reduction commitments they have already made, the planet is on track for almost 3 degrees centigrade of warming this century. Climate change, food insecurity, and conflict are not isolated issues, they are interconnected challenges that require a unified response. It is time for governments, organizations, and individuals to come together to build resilience and to support those who are most affected. Climate extremes are compounding the impact of armed conflicts on agricultural production and are increasing food insecurity. Beyond the direct impact of climate hazards on farming activities, extremes may also intensify competition for scarcer resources. This happens against a backdrop of very limited adaptive capacities as people, systems, and institutions struggle to survive the devastation of war. Climate change, food insecurity, and conflict are thus mutually reinforcing. People depend on the environment and predictable weather for food and water. Farmers, herders, and fishing communities depend on it for their livelihoods. When the environment is damaged in war, and food and economic insecurity intensify, physical and mental health deteriorate as well. As we witness the devastating impacts of climate change across South Asia, it becomes clear that this crisis is not just about rising temperatures, it's about deepening inequalities and exacerbating vulnerabilities. The floods, landslides, and earthquakes that have ravaged communities in India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Afghanistan are stark reminders of the urgent need for collective action. To effectively address the root cause of global warming, we must swiftly phase out fossil fuels and transition to renewable energy sources. This requires funding a fair, rapid, and permanent shift. Stay informed and engaged with the latest developments in current affairs and international relations. Subscribe to our channel, post your comments, and join the conversation. Together, we can understand and influence the future of global peace and stability.